Returning to my coin, Lady Chanel, I am pleased to see you again. Will we XRP holders get our wish at last? Is it possible that Kim Jong Gensler could be fired at last? A supreme leader and tyrant in the SEC? Could someone else genuinely support cryptocurrency and look out for our best interests be appointed to this position? That, then, is the subject of our conversation. You may have been aware that former President Trump spoke at the Bitcoin conference. I will summarize several of his points. Take a look at this headline from Cointelegraph, though. Yes, Trump has promised to remove SEC Chair Gary Gensler from his position immediately upon taking office again if re-elected, but is he actually capable of doing so, or is he simply trying to appease us? However, I must emphasize that I am not providing financial advice and do not possess any sort of financial experience. In addition, you shouldn't base any financial decisions on what I write or say. I'm simply a casual YouTuber that enjoys dabbling in cryptocurrency as a pastime. Plus, for the sake of entertainment. Allow me to lay out the ground rules a bit so that you are aware of a couple of important points that were covered earlier. Reason being, several speculations circulated. Now Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now running for president, but there is absolutely no way that his campaign will succeed. He will not be inaugurated. Regarding his candidature, I will remain silent. I'm simply being realistic here, it will never happen. But here's a recent headline: RFK Jr. promises bitcoins as a reserve currency backed by physical assets. A very radical statement was thus made by him. One possible name for it is: he has stated his intention to purchase 550 Bitcoin daily until the US has a reserve of 4 million Bitcoin, as recommended in an executive order, if he is elected president. The ridiculous fact that it constitutes 19% of the entire Bitcoin supply is why he settled on that. But he claims, and I was unaware of this at the time, that the US holds 19% of the world's gold reserves. In light of this, I can see why he chose to mimic the actions of that indifferent figure. Additionally, it would take more than 20 years for it to occur if you could buy 550 Bitcoin every day. Obviously, the price in 20 years from now, assuming Bitcoins remain viable in the long run, far above, hit what may be an insurmountable barrier. But anyhow, he put it out there now. I don't find it surprising that a candidate with essentially no chance of winning would issue a policy, or an executive order, as the case may be, that he would publicly declare his comfort with doing so. Now, if you're knowledgeable, you have a legitimate shot at being the president of the US. Regarding Trump once more, would you genuinely say anything along those lines? I also mentioned that I believe the likelihood of Trump actually carrying out this plan is extremely low, if not non-existent. Plus, there were whispers that he was going to announce plans to have a strategic reserve in Bitcoin in the days preceding up to this. That, however, did not transpire. Regardless, he took action. What he said concerned Bitcoin reserves. I have a certain sequence in mind for this, but more on that later. Furthermore, Senator Loomis made a declaration regarding Bitcoin 2024, according to Cointelegraph. However, there was no Bitcoin strategic reserve. Consequently, Republican Bitcoin maximalist Cynthia Loomis is not a fan of hers. She has made it quite obvious that she is not generally in favor of crypto. Nonetheless, I was under the impression that she was going to introduce a measure that would really legalize Bitcoin. 'Cause a real strategic reserve to form. So, if it were to be submitted and eventually passed by Congress, Bitcoin would be used. It would have been inevitable that the president's signature would have made Bitcoin the official reserve currency of the US. Because of this, I expressed my uncertainty about how she would lead up to this. To be honest, I have no idea whether she will truly do this. If she does, that's fine, but I still don't think Trump would support this. However, she may choose to do this for publicity purposes. I have no idea why she would do it, but she chose not to. We discussed Gary Gensler and other events that transpired because there are a lot of people involved, and now we can go on to today. More on the reserve matters will be discussed in a moment. While I eagerly await the address, there's a lot of pandering happening here, according to Summer Like Summer, which I'll address a bit later in the movie. Trump, a Republican and a previous president, has pledged to fire SEC Chief Gary Gensler immediately upon taking office again, according to this headline from The Telegraph. Trump has also promised to implement swift policy changes. Alters in the event that he loses the presidential election in November to Kamala Harris, who is running as the Democratic Party's choice for vice president. After Trump claimed the Secret Service needed extra time at the site, Bitcoiners waited more than an hour to hear him speak at the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee on July 27. If elected in November, the Republican candidate's crypto policy platform included the removal of U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler and the establishment of a presidential advisory council focused on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Sure, I can get behind that. Does it not sound nice? Gary Gensler must leave immediately. This winged demon hails from the pits of hell and is an offspring of Satan. If that could be removed from control of the SEC, that would be a victory for us. It seems like everyone here agrees with it. Am I correct? The President's Council on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? Of course. You may skip referring to it as a Bitcoin and Crypto Presidential Advisory Council. Bitcoin isn't even necessary. Perhaps it would be enough to use cryptocurrencies alone. It's more comprehensive than accurate. I get it, though, he's just playing to the Bitcoin maxi crowd and other Bitcoin enthusiasts. After that, he promises that your industry will no longer be subject to persecution or weaponization after he takes the oath of office. I will select a new chairman of the Senate who shares my view that America ought to construct rather than obstruct the future. I will say this now, and I will talk more about pandering later on, but I will say this now, even if he's trying to make it seem like the deeds, not the words, are what count. So, I suspect that, generally speaking, they adhere to a lot of the pro-crypto things. After all, being pro-crypto is now almost an official Republican Party policy. To top it all off, you can see that Republicans are firmly in favor of any cryptocurrency-related measure that comes up for a vote. I find it hard to believe that Trump would just say the right things and then do nothing. Bye for now, and please subscribe and like my channel.